What is the
We want to
elevation?
hear from you. Lucy, we want to hear from you, please.
Okay, but I'm going to ask a quick question of Peggy. Have you ever been to visit the kids anywhere in all of these different places?
No, but Petra and Jonathan came to visit me here in Austin probably about 10 years ago. That's my guess. So,
that sounds about right.
That's really neat. Yeah. Yeah, a dear friend of mine who I just talked to yesterday is moving from Boston to Austin to see her grandchild. She's going to buy a house in Austin and live there 2 months and then alternate 2 months, 2 months, 2 months, Boston to Austin. I'm like, okay, it's nice and rhymey. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, things are fine. So yeah, I'm in Phoenix right now taking care of my dad. He was in the hospital at the very beginning of this and they were going to put him in a nursing home. And because I was teaching remotely, I just was like, I'll come take care of you. Little did I know that I was stepping into this, you know, strange nether world of God knows when I'll actually get to go home and see my family. So yeah, so I'm here, you know, in the Phoenix.
How are your kids?
They're doing great. Yeah. Celia's starting, she's 18 and she's starting Pitzer College next week. And so that's where my brother graduated from, is Pitzer. So that's a little bit of a family tradition. And she's a social, you know, super social activist. So that fits very well with Pitzer. And so yeah. And Zuli is a senior. Celia took a gap year. So she's 2 years older than Zuli, and Zuli is a senior. And they're just completely, like you guys know, like they're just completely polar opposites of each other. You know, one is super social and talks to trees, and the other one you can't get a word out of, and is, you know, but is, you know, super smart and engaged with her life, and so that's what matters. And so yeah, so Zuli's super interested in science and is like starting to think about what schools she wants to go to for science. And so I'm like, God, how did Phil and I ever, you know, produce a scientist? I don't know, but there she is. So yeah, and then my work is just, you know, I don't mean it to be political, but it is political because I'm super engaged with trying to do good in the world. So it's I'm a program director for something called the Law and Policy Lab, and then I co-direct a project focused on evictions right now. So we're trying to mitigate evictions across the U.S. We have a cohort of 5 cities, 2 in Virginia, Richmond and Norfolk, 2 in Pennsylvania, and 1 in Michigan. And those are test run cities where we're trying out some different mitigation strategies, and then we'll kind of bring those back out nationwide and start advertising them and doing webinars and trying to show other cities, you know, some of these different strategies went down. So that is incredibly fulfilling. And yeah, and I'm exactly like you, Jonathan. I just basically sit in front of my computer screen all day. My butt is glued to my chair. And this is the dining room, you know, my dad's house. And so, you know, he's on the other side of the house and he watches, you know, his news, like in his baseball games. And that's kind of our life right now. So,
Lucy, you should check out the lawsuit that I'm working on right now with my landlord, because it's about this issue. Eviction, I already went to 2016. I already got more than enough evidence against the DC courts to take them to the international court. But he said, because I told him, I said, look, unemployment's not paying me. And he said, that's your problem. I said, well, no, sir, it's actually both of our problems. So if you want to bring this into a public policy dispute and lawsuit, go ahead, get on the gravy train. I got them all over the place. So he told me he was going to kick me out and get me living in a tent on the street. I'm like, well, they've been trying to do that for 13, 14 years, you guys. Yeah. So it hadn't happened yet. So let's go. So anyway, that's kind of what we'll, you know, I told them, I said, no, I'll pay you the percentage of what I'm getting. You get on your get out of your, you know, room and stop poking, you know, stringing your guitar. He's a retired lawyer. I said, all you landlords get together and you go scream bloody murder to the unemployment, and you tell them that they need to get that money into the people's hands so the people can pay their bills. And he said, it's not a problem. I said, well, I'm working on my presentations. I'm working on
The
my...
landlords are the sticking point in this. And yeah, we're just now starting outreach to landlords to try to figure out what the barriers are that keep them from actually managing these, you know, and mediating these kinds of evictions.
But I mean, Lucy, if the landlords are of bad faith, it doesn't do any good to...
But you guys, I hate to do this, but I have to go in 2 minutes. I have a meeting. My meeting is with my team and literally at 2. And I'm so thankful that we were able to get together and do this. And like when Duran sent me the link and it was 1 o'clock and I'm like, I can do it. I've got a 1 hour moment, you know, yes.
Well, I didn't tell you what time it was in Arizona. I had no idea. But I did say, well, you know, it's 4 o'clock Eastern time.
So 1 o'clock Arizona time. It worked out perfectly. But I would love to see all of you. Kendra, yes, I'm going to come to Telluride. I would love to go to Colombia. My daughter is fluent in Spanish. She was supposed to be in Peru.
Well,
right
here I have a 3-bedroom house. 2 are empty because my kids have given up their rooms. And I have plenty of room. So, yes,
Peggy, let's go. I'll meet you down there.
And I have downtown Chicago when, you know, I don't have a big place, but I do also stay at my sister, my
But
girlfriend.
you know the museums, and I love museums.
So it's spectacular.
Oh my goodness. When I went there and I saw the prices of the museums, I was like, oh,
everything
we are
is free in
spoiled
DC.
Washington.
Well, in
We are
DC,
spoiled.
y'all are spoiled by what's free. So, but they're great, and I know all the spots. Thank you, Lucy.
I
Great
love
to
you guys
see you.
all.
So
All
much.
right.
Great thing, you know.
Fabulous
you.
to see you. All right.
Good
Take
seeing you.
care. Thanks
Bye.
for joining me. Bye-bye.
Bye. The problem with us here, we have a lot of poor people that, you know, have to go out and sell their vegetables or their bread or whatever. Otherwise, they won't eat.
Well, it's that
That's
situation.
the problem.
I mean, it's that. See, that was one of my points to one of the economists and stuff I wrote to lately. Was our economies, this stuff that our economies have collapsed, they haven't collapsed. What's collapsed is your luxury and products and services, but all of your basic services, you know, your grocery stores, your, you know, food and clothing and the necessities, that's still there. And so you really need to make sure that the money is getting to the people, because if those funds don't get to the people, they can't spend it and get it into the economy. Yeah. And then it'll be the middle class really of that, you know, reinforcing the economic power there, that you will keep your economy strong. Right. So that when the markets collapse, they just injected $3 trillion.
Come from the bottom up, it would be better. So,
and they just injected $3 trillion. So when that rubber band snaps, it's gonna snap hard. And so then when that happens, your base economy, the meat and potatoes of your economy is still solid. Because if that collapses, if all of those don't get the money and end up homeless and then out on the streets, then your meat and potatoes is starving to death.
I agree. Take care of the poor and the working class, which I'm still part. So I'm in the wrong industry now.
The rich can afford to lose a mansion or two.
Yeah, a home or two, a boat or two. Yeah. Afford to take fewer flights.
Yeah. I
Vacation.
mean, you know, and the casino industry, I got no problem if that collapses. Believe me. No qualms.
It all reverberates, though. It all reverberates through the economy.
You know, in this thing, well, yeah, of course there's jobs. It's just that we need to produce the right jobs. I mean, when I got to DC and I saw we had a casino here, just
Really?
across, across the river, I nearly had, as my mom would say, apoplexy. I thought I would never see the day of that, but anyway. So, yeah, that's, as soon as I finish all of this, I get back to my presentations, because that's kind of my focus right now, is trying to get some movement in Washington for people to get up on Capitol Hill, that the issue is that the money is not getting to the people. And you guys can promise all you want, but if it only exists on my little screen, the supermarket doesn't accept that tender.
Be good to get back to those extensions that we had before. And Congress recess.
I haven't gotten
half of it. To take a recess. And this is not time to take a recess. So
yeah,
tie in with the Postal Service.
Yeah, but the thing is, Mark, I haven't even gotten half of what's owed to me.
Yeah.
So this is my whole point. Even if you're promising it, you're not. You got to promise even more. The banking system, you got $3 trillion to give to the little bankers who are screwing everything up. Oh, you got more than enough for 3 trillion, 5 trillion, 10 trillion for the people. If you got so much money for the banker, you certainly got more. But even if you get that, if you don't get it out, because this is a huge problem right now. And I've been trying to get journalists. I've been trying to get, as usual. And Carl Bernstein, Bob Woodward, Juan Williams, Walter Pincus are all sitting on a hot potato, and they're just sitting on it. I'm like, you guys did Deep Throat. I'm bigger than Deep Throat. You won't do anything about it. But anyway.
Mark, who do you think's gonna win November 3rd?
Depends how the pandemic is going, how the economy is going. I agree with Quinby. If they don't renew in the interim, if they don't renew some of these extensions, our economy is going to further slide, because there's no support for the poor and the working class, of which I'm still part. Biden and Harris are ahead in the polls now, but it could be tightening. But we'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
It so much depends on what's going on in the economy. I mean, the problem is Biden's going to be more
the economy.
Of Obama, empty promises and empty rhetoric. So,
well, I think at least Obama spoke about them. This guy doesn't speak about them. I was watching part of the convention last night, and I mean, I was amazed. But because I changed the channels, and one channel is pro-Biden and the other is pro-Trump. And I mean, just a total different view of the situation. But they were highly critical of Biden, talking about character and how he's going to save America. But, no talk of, how to get us out of the pandemic situation, how to get the economy.
They have a plan. They have a plan, and it's just, can it be enacted? Obama pushed it so far, and in terms of a relatively good economy, I mean, he handed over a good economy to Trump, and now this world situation happens, and our market's crashing. So it's a complicated formula. Which guy? Well, Trump is not. Trump is not pulling the nation together again. Can Biden do a better job? But he's got a history of that, reaching across the aisle. He's got many Republican friends. There are many Republicans appearing in front of the Democratic National Convention.
Yes, I saw that.
To support that. So I'm thinking that will happen, but I would never count Trump out. He's a crafty, nasty SOB. I would never count him out. So
Well, he's not very smart. So that's I mean, that's what I was like, oh gosh, we got Ted Cruz, he's smarter than Trump, and I was worried about that one. But the thing, Mark, is with the
oh my God, I worked so hard. I worked so hard to defeat him, Ted Cruz. But you know, and Beto O'Rourke came closer. Beto O'Rourke was the most successful Democratic candidate in all of Texas history. Our state is racing towards being completely purple, you know, 50-50. And I never thought I would live long enough to see that.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that. Best of Democratic ideas and Republican ideas.
Yeah, I get it.
You know, moderates, independents. So, no, a shakeup is coming here too. I mean, Texas is in play, and it's always been a solidly red state. So,
yeah,
we'll see. I reached out.
You know, my mom, excuse me, but my mom was a big Ted Cruz supporter.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when she was talking to me about Ted Cruz, I was like, oh Lord. But Mark, one of the problems is the 2008 collapse. They didn't address the underlying problems. They just kicked the bucket down the road with the $1 trillion injection by the Fed and the lowering of the Fed rates. And they've played the same game. They lowered it again. It's too low. You have no incentive for savings. You know, and this is why when that collapsed, because for so long you have no incentive for savings, so much is being injected into the financial markets, all the different ones, and they keep on expanding and expanding. You got Bitcoin, and don't even get me started on that.
I wish money invested. I wouldn't worry about
as I said, don't get me started on that.
No. I wouldn't. Not a cent there. I wish I could benefit from the gains. Then I wouldn't worry about working. I'd go on my merry way.
I'm talking long-term stuff.
Long-term, we have to take care of the poor and bring the poor out of poverty.
In terms of Bitcoin, that's not going to last.
No. Bring the poor out of poverty. Help the working class.
Mark,
help the working class.
Mark, he didn't give, Obama didn't hand over a good economy to Trump. He handed over an economy that's been patchworked and Band-Aid solutions to keep it going, because this is also why you're getting the increase in income inequality, and the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer.
I agree.
And so
the rich are going to have to pay higher.
When that collapses, and it will.
I agree. We need the foundation.
And
we need the foundation from the bottom.
Nobody said boo, because at least the last time when they injected the $1 trillion, then there was a whole discussion against all the bigwig economists of how we can't do this, because this violates the rules of capitalism. So what do they do now? Now it's already been done. They've established the custom, if you will, and they just slipped it under the table. You didn't even hear any debate.